Hi, my name is Dale. I'm one of the pastors here at Redeemer Bible Church. Today is Monday, July the 6th, and this is the Daily Word. We find ourselves on Paul's second missionary journey here in the book of Acts, and we are in chapter 17. And 17 is an interesting chapter because you find Paul going into three different cities here in chapter 17. The first one is Thessalonica, the second one is Berea, and then he will go into the city of Athens. Now, Thessalonica, that's the first one we'll focus on. Thessalonica was a very important city during this time. It was on the road to Rome. It also had a seaport where ships on trade routes could come in, deliver goods, and then they would ship those goods up to Rome and other parts using different trade routes coming out of Thessalonica, coming in and out of Thessalonica, actually. So it was a very important place. And Paul saw that. He saw that it was a very strategic place for him to do some ministry. And so he did. He first, being a Jew, sought out fellow Jews, which there were many here in Thessalonica during this time. And he started preaching in the synagogues and started reasoning with them. And according to the text, many came to faith. Not only Jews, but also Greeks. Many of them who were women came to faith. And it got to the point where the Jews who were resisting Paul got some unbelievers to start stirring up some trouble. And Paul and Silas had to, by cover of night, kind of get out of Dodge. So they left Thessalonica, but they didn't leave. They didn't leave without yielding some fruit and having a harvest there. So the next town they went to was Berea. Now initially, the Bereans accepted Paul into the synagogues, and he was able to have open dialogue with them, so much so that they would actually go to the scriptures after he would teach something just to make sure that he was saying the right things. Now, Paul found them to be very noble because they were willing to dialogue and they're willing to check out what he was saying. But over in Thessalonica, they caught word that Paul was in Berea and he was having success. People were coming to faith, and they sent some troublemakers down to Berea as well. Same thing, anytime there's a work of God happening, you can be sure that Satan and his enemies will come with reinforcements to try to distract and dissuade. And that's exactly what happened in Berea, but not after, or not until people got saved. And so Paul, like in Thessalonica, left Berea with believers in place there in that town. So Paul's missionary journey continues to be successful in winning people to faith. Now Paul goes to the city of Athens. Now, some think that he didn't really have a mission necessarily in Athens, and it wasn't until he got there that he just started seeing the opportunity to preach the gospel. He saw that they were religious people. They had statues and idols that were erected that he realized, like, this is a people that are trying to figure something out. Now, when he started preaching the gospel there, it wasn't met with any openness. It was mocked, and he was ridiculed, even to the point where he dusted himself off. And ended up leaving eventually to head out. But before he did that, more people got saved. So the big idea that I want to share today with you is that much like in the first century where Paul finds himself on this missionary journey, the world hasn't changed that much. Now, sure, technology has changed some things, and we can get to places a lot quicker, and we have many more luxuries than they did back in the first century, but the human heart hasn't changed. You have people like in Thessalonica who will resist the gospel, even to the point of stirring up trouble. You have people like the Bereans who will converse with you and have conversations with you about the gospel. But then eventually, maybe somebody will hear about it and they'll come and stir up, even to disrupt and dissuade others from listening to you anymore. And then you have cities like Athens, cities of thought, cities where intellectualism is the very center of what is the identity of the city. And there's just a flat rejection of the gospel. Now, because God's grace cannot resist the elect, people get saved in all of these situations, whether it's resistance, whether it's open dialogue, or whether it's just flat out rejection. People still get saved. And that is true. That was true then, and it's true today. So for us, as we're reading Acts 17, what is the application for us? It's to go out into the world, wherever God has us. Is it a community of resisting, a community of openness, or a community of just flat out being mocked and ridiculed? It's of no consequence. You are a carrier of the message of the gospel of Jesus Christ. You should expect to be uncomfortable. You should expect maybe you have to leave a town by cover of night. And you should expect that you'll be mocked and ridiculed. But here's what else you should expect. You should expect that God is going to save people. And that's the mission, right? And that will be Paul's mission tomorrow too, in chapter 18. So we'll see you then.